Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're pleased to be able to bring you our webcast today regarding Hyperion and what to do next. And this is a webcast series. This is part 1 and part 2. Today is part 1, where we're going to be talking to you and kind of guiding you through your options on how to proceed. So on the line with me today are my colleagues, Rick Anthony, who's the Vice President of Sales here for the West Coast at Ebosis, and Harshal Shah, who is our solution lead for our entire EPM suite of products. So before we get started, I'd like to go over, for those of you who are familiar with Ebosis, it might be a little bit of a repeat, but for those of you who are not familiar with Ebosis, I wanted to give you a little bit of a introduction to Ebosis. And Harshal was nice enough to show our agenda there, but thank you, Harshal. So about Ebosis. We're proud that we have serviced well over 1,000 cloud customers to date. We are a global SI for Oracle that focuses only on Oracle and all of the pillars that Oracle has, including ERP, HCM, technology, etc. And what we see here, what you can see on the screen, is we've helped over 150 customers on the Oracle EPM side of the business, including Hyperion upgrades and Hyperion to cloud migrations. So we feel like we've done a lot of good work around the globe. We also operate in over 30 countries around the world, and we have 1,500 experienced consultants. And I like to pause on that number here because what you should know is that our consultants are actually employees. And we do this by design to make sure our customers get great experience. No one wants a consultant swapping in and out of a project, so we were pretty proud of that. Also, you can see we specialize in on-prem to cloud transformations, such as Hyperion, EBS, PeopleSoft, and SAP, and we have patented technology that we use to do that. We are a full-service provider where we provide not only implementation, but support and managed services as well. And we've actually won a few awards. And Harshal, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll talk about these in a little bit more detail. We don't, while we don't want to be seen as braggarts, we do, however, enjoy a great history of winning some Oracle awards. And for those of you familiar with Oracle, these are tough awards to win because there's literally hundreds of partners in the running. But year over year, we're able to consistently win Partner of the Year awards across the globe. And we're super proud of that. Next slide, Harshal. Also, we're proud to have ranked up on the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 2 years in a row. You can see we've made leaps and bounds this year up to the corner there. So we're happy to report consistent growth and completeness of our offering. Next slide, Harshal. And actually, with that, I'm going to pass it off to Harshal, who's going to talk to you about the support roadmap. So thank you all. Again, if you have questions throughout the broadcast, please don't hesitate to ask them. We'd like to keep it interactive. You can use the question icon on the toolbar. We'll be monitoring those. Or if you're more comfortable using the chat, you can use that as well. Over to you, Harshal.
Right. Thank you, Bonnie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. Before we go into the discussion around which are the options you have, let's understand what is the support roadmap that Oracle has laid down for the on-premise Hyperion application. As we all know, most of our Oracle's investment is now on the cloud. Oracle has invested heavily on bringing the on-premise application on the cloud with the advanced functionality. However, having mentioned that, they also have a strong roadmap for the on-premise application as well. So the reason we are here, because the 11.1, which is a kind of a latest version of Hyperion, is coming to end of life in December 21, and Oracle has already released 11.2 version. And again, within 11.2, Oracle has already released a couple of more sub versions in last 6 months. So there are quite a new functionality that has been introduced. There are quite a few functionality which has been taken off in the latest release, and there is there is already a roadmap in the Oracle's design for the future consideration, wherein they are going to bring in some new functionalities, like you can upload edit the formula using Excel. You can do the sandboxing. You can do lots of internal text provisioning and all those stuff in the Hyperion application. But what we are going to focus today is what are your option looks like if you are on 11.1 versions. And so yeah, I mean, this version is coming to end of life. This is not no secret. And one of the options that you have is just do nothing. Okay, so you are happy with your Hyperion application. It works as per your requirement. You are not investing much in terms of supporting that. So yeah, absolutely, you are happy. Then why you should be upgrading it or moving to the cloud? So yes, there is an option of doing nothing. And what it does for you. So what are the things you should consider if you do nothing about your existing Hyperion? So as far as technology is concerned, I mean, your business as usual works. You do not need to do anything around it. However, there are some cons around if you decide to do nothing. So and one of the most important pieces is around compatibility issue with the operating system. So at certain point of time, if you as an organization decide to upgrade your OS to Windows 2016 or 2019, or upgrade your Linux versions, I mean, you may face the compatibility issue. So 11.1 version supports Windows R 2012. Now, if you decide to upgrade to 2016, then you have to upgrade the Hyperion application, because current version, which is 11.1, does not support 2016 of Windows. So as I said, this is one of the consideration that you should have while deciding your options. There are a lot new functionality that has come in the new version as well as on the cloud application. So let's say if you are looking for some new functionalities like real-time dashboards, infolettes, digital assistants, mobile functionalities, operating through mobile devices. I mean, all this are not something which you are going to get in your current version, and you are definitely getting on the new set of application. You will have your hardware as it is. You it is kind of sunk cost. Yes, there is an option where you can actually move uh, your hardware to the cloud infrastructure, like Oracle cloud infrastructure, or probably Azure, or Amazon. But yeah, you are still paying someone or internally to maintain the hardware piece. And as far as support is concerned, support from Oracle is coming to end in December 21. So what you are going to get is the sustaining support. You will be able to raise an SR. They will help you. But as far as bug fixings are concerned, software updates are concerned, patches are concerned, all those will be stopped from December 21. So those are the reasons why many organizations have started looking for upgrade or migration to the cloud. But what we want to highlight at this point is there is definitely an option of doing nothing if you're happy with your current set of application. Let's talk about another or a second option that you have here, which is upgrading to the cloud, upgrade to 11.2. As I said, Oracle released this version in December 29, and post that they have already issued couple of minor patches or updates. When it started, it was only supporting Windows 2019, but now they have made it available for Windows 2016 as well. So there are quite a few changes that has come. Now let's understand, if you decide to do an upgrade to 11.2, what you are going to miss out, because there are a lot of structural change when it comes to planning and budgeting side of the area, the space side of the area. uh, so now this is a quick glimpses of activities or probably functionalities that you will not have in 11.2. So if I talk from the financial management perspective, all the basic functionality remains as it is, but what is coming to end of life is your analytics. So let's say if you have uh, business intelligence attached to your HFM environment, that link is going to come to an end. If you have disclosure management, that is coming to end of life. If you are doing some kind of financial management analytics, you're not going to have that. So effectively what you need to do is either you have to create all those reports manually again in the HFM, or you have to establish another integration between your BI tool and the HFM. On the planning and budgeting side, on the planning side of the area, there are major changes. So all the standard version, like workforce planning, project financial planning, public sector planning and budgeting, capital planning, all these standard modules are not going to be there on 11.2. So in case you are using any of these modules, you have to plan for a kind of a restructuring and creating a custom cube, and create this solution from the scratch. Uh, Again, there is no EPM mobile in 11.2. So in case you are using mobile functionality for approvals or anything, it's not going to be there on the 11.2.
And Herschel, I just want to add on this one. In this particular case, if you have basic functionality you're looking at on this page and you are looking to upgrade your Hyperion, this is going to be a cumbersome project to do so now. This is not going to be an easy upgrade, and therefore it is where most of our customers start to really look at what other options they have in their current Hyperion install. So just take a pause to see if you have anything or functionality that you have on this page, and then you might think as to what your next steps may be. Thank you, Herschel.
Yep, thanks, Rick. And what we have done, to make it a bit easier, we have summarized some pros and cons of upgrading to 11.2. So if I talk about pros on the financial management side, when you do your consolidation, one of the key features which they have introduced is, they have now, so Oracle has now given the metadata editor, which is web-based. So effectively, you will be able to change your hierarchies, you will be able to create your alternate hierarchies, adding new metadata and all those stuff within the application itself. So rather than downloading and archiving it and uploading it again, you can do it directly in the web-based application. There is another functionality which is a kind of automated consolidation. So in system now they have a functionality where you can enable application to run the consolidation automatically, and system will do that for you. On the planning and budgeting side, there are some good functionality. So one is valid intersection. So if I compare it with ERP, in ERP you might have cross validation rule wherein certain cost center can work along with only certain accounts. Similarly here, you can establish a valid intersection where if you want to make some accounts available only for certain cost centers or certain entities, you can now do that. Then there is a smart push functionality, which is again in the current version we used to write xwrite, xrefs to push or to transfer data from one cube to another cube. With smart push, this happens automatically. So this is again one checkbox that is available on the web form, and if you enable this, all the data from one cube to another cube gets transferred automatically. So there are some good functionalities available on the 11.2. On the flip side of the upgrade, if I talk about HFM, from the end user perspective, there are no major change. So, and there are no major benefits they are going to get. So it's the same UI they are going to get. It's the same set of uh, uh, web forms, reports they are going to get. So there is nothing much for the end user as such. Uh, and when we go into the cloud, there are so many new things that you can offer it to the end user. So absolutely, when you have two option, and one is giving you quite a new functionality and other is not, you might be interested in looking at what new it has to bring. On the planning and budgeting side, there are major structural change that Oracle has introduced, and one of the major changes, EPMA architecture is again coming to end of life. So there is no EPMA applications supported on 11.2. So if you have multiple EPMA applications, you have to either convert those into the classic, or you have to start using DRM application, limited use of DRM, where you manage your metadata and then push the metadata into the different applications. At certain point of time, you have to upgrade your S-base to 19C. And as I mentioned previously, there are no standard modules available. So in case you are using workforce planning, strategic financial planning, project financial planning, nothing is available on the 11.2. So assume that you have an internal policy and somehow you decide to upgrade to 11.2. These are the 4 key consideration that you should take care. Now 11.2 is not just a simple patch upgrade, it is an out of place upgrade. What it means is you actually have to install Hyperion application from the scratch, and for that you need a new hardware. So it's not like on your current application we will just apply the patch and the application is upgraded. It is a out of place upgrade. You have to have a new hardware and get the Hyperion application installed from the scratch. It does not support any Windows version which is below 2016. So you have to have your OS from 2016 or above. As I mentioned, EPMA applications are not supported. So either you have to convert all the applications into the classic application or start using the DRM to manage your metadata. And since it is going to be a on-premise application, you will have a future upgrade. So you have to, again, you will keep investing on the hardware. You will have the patching. You will have the future upgrades to take care of. So again, this is an important piece in today's world, wherein in the cloud application you do not need to worry about the upgrades. You do not need to worry about a kind of a huge change management after every upgrade. So these are some key consideration for the upgrade scenario. The last piece, and where we have seen the trend of existing Hyperion customer is they are looking to move to the EPM cloud set of applications, and we'll talk about the reasons why they are looking to move to the cloud. So these are some of summary of the benefits that we have seen that customer is really interested in. So as I mentioned, what happens with EPM cloud, you get automatic updates on a monthly basis. So every month you will have some or other update which will include some new functionality, or let's say if there is any bug or any enhancement that you have requested, that may come up in the on a monthly basis. So you do not need to wait for a long time to get a patch to fix the bug, or let's say to get your environment updated. So it's an automatic update. You do not need to even overlook an update. This happens overnight. So let's say every first week of Friday, it applies on the test environment. You get 2 weeks of time to test the application, and if you think everything is okay, every third Friday of the month, it gets applied on the production environment. At certain point of time, if you want to hold an upgrade for certain period of time, you also have that option to do that. As I mentioned, you will have a lot of new features coming in with every updates, with every upgrade that EPM application has. So the application which I implemented 3 years back looks completely different than what I have now, and it is not like that has happened overnight. Oracle has a proper system of releasing upgrade documentation, wherein you will get to know what bugs are fixed, what are the enhancements they have included, what are the new features, how to use those features, and that has helped many customers in automating their consolidation processes, planning and budgeting processes, and more importantly the reporting processes, which was though Hyperion was extremely powerful when it comes to budgeting and doing the consolidation, but it many customers used to use BI tool like Oracle BI or Power BI or Tableau on top of it to do the executive reporting. With the EPM set of portfolio, you do not need to do that external reporting. You can do the reporting within the EPM application, and all the charts, dashboards are updated on a real-time basis. This is a kind of faster implementation. So unlike Hyperion implementation, it doesn't take 6 months, 8 months to implement. EPM set of applications are like pre-built. What we do is configure as per your need, and we have customers who has actually started reaping the benefits in like 8 weeks or 10 weeks of time. So it's extremely fast implementation, and you'll see the return on investment very fast. You can actually easily move from one application to another. So there is an inbuilt integration. So if you have HFM plus HPB plus, let's say, account reconciliation, moving from one Hyperion application to another, you have to come out, you have to get into another application, and it opens up. Here there is a within the application there is a navigation. So you just click on one specific menu and you are into another application. So all these EPM modules are tightly interlinked. You do not need to worry about going from one place to another. Since it's a mobile, since it's cloud, you can access it from anywhere. So and this has helped many our customers. So we got a few feedback from the customers that they were happy that they decided to move to the cloud, because in this COVID environment, if they were using Hyperion, they would not have access to Hyperion, or they would have to go for a VPN access, and that required someone's presence in the office, which was not the case in the COVID scenario. So with the scenarios like COVID, or let's say if you want to access application from anywhere, this set of application can help you really well. And from the security perspective, since it is hosted on since it is on Oracle data centers, the environments are highly secure. Oracle conducts security audit every month, and if there is any patching required, they do it. So everything is extremely secure in terms of data. Now, this is some of the this is a quick analysis of our customers who have chosen a cloud over Hyperion, and why they have chose cloud application. So if you see, main reason for choosing EPM cloud is they want to reduce the overall IT spend, or what they are investing on Hyperion application. Because if you have multiple, let's say, Hyperion applications and multiple users, I mean, you might be spending a lot of money on maintenance and maintaining hardware, or maintaining the application support. With the cloud, it is you will get access to multiple application in single license. So that way, you do not need to worry about paying a huge amount if you have a large number of user set. And these are some of other reasons. I'll not read it out, but yeah, I'll keep it here just for your quick analysis. Okay. Now, what I have done is we have a detailed analysis of the functionalities, but for the purpose of this webinar, we have just taken a couple of slides, one for HFM and another for planning and budgeting, and compared it with what you have on the cloud side of the area. So I mean, as I said, the core functionality remains as it is. So you will get ownership management, you will have the complex consolidation functionalities, or capability both in HFM and cloud. You can do multi-gap reporting. You can do the financial reports. Smart View is still available. But if you see the pieces which is more related to dashboards, infolets, the kind of reporting, the close manager, which you can use to perform the period closing, the supplemental data which you can use to bring some transactional level information if you are doing that level of reporting in the consolidation module. The data management, which is again it's available on HFM, but it is a separate license called Financial Data Management Enterprise Edition, which is embedded with the financial consolidation and close. So with the cloud application, you do not need to invest on the separate license for the ETL tool or the integration tool. So these are some comparative analysis of what you have on premise and what you get on the cloud. And one major benefit, when it comes to HFM, in HFM, for any simplest of calculation, you have to write some VB script to make it happen. So whether it's a translation rule or a minority interest calculation, uh, or probably some provisioning. With the cloud or with the financial consolidation and cloud, uh, what you have is out of the box calculation. So effectively, there is no VB scripting required. All the calculations are predefined. Yes, there is an option to write your own calculations if you want, but if you are doing your consolidation as per GAAP, without writing any rule, you can just load your metadata, you can load your hierarchical structure, the holding pattern, and the data. Once you do that, you can run the consolidation automatically. System will take care of all the translation, reserves, currency, CTA calculations, and all the reports are predefined. So effectively, balance sheet, cash flows, income statements, if you want to look at, you can look at from the application. A quick comparison on the planning and budgeting side of the area. So yeah, again, cloud is great when it comes to newer functionality. Smart view remains as it is. You'll have a sandboxing feature. You have an automatic upgrades, as I mentioned. So again, quite a new functionalities when it comes to planning and budgeting. And it also comes with a lot of predefined models. So let's say if you are a sales organization, there is a specific model that applies to sales organization. If you are a kind of a retail organization, there is a different model that is available for retail organization to do your financial and revenue planning. There is a predefined module like what you have on 11.1 version, like workforce planning, capital planning, strategic financial planning, strategic workforce planning, and there are quite a few in the roadmap that will come over the period of time. So with the EPM cloud, yeah, on the planning side of the area, you have quite a few new functionality available. So with that, what we thought, we'll give you a quick view of the application. We have a part 2 coming in next week, same day, same time, wherein we are going to do the deep dive on the application. But yeah, if any one of you have not seen the application, we thought to give you a quick glimpses of the application. So just bear with me for a moment. I will move to the application.
Meanwhile, while Harshal is getting into the demo zone, I'll remind everyone, if you do have a question, use the question icon on your toolbar or the chat if you're more comfortable. And Harshal, we do have some questions, it looks like, and I'm trying to pop these out. I can read them to you. It says, does FCCS support both direct and indirect cash flow?
So yes, FCCS does support both direct as well as indirect cash flow. So yeah, that's by default it provides you the indirect cash flow, but yeah, we have developed a report based on the direct cash flow method as well.
Excellent, thank you. And then there's another one. Do you want to read it? Yeah.
Yep, I'll read it out. What are the organizations that plan to remain on Hyperion 11.124 for many years after December 21? Are organizations freezing their infrastructure under Citrix, for example? So that's a good question, Oscar. And And there are a couple of customers I have encountered, and what they are doing is, they have internal Hyperion team, and they have agreed that their internal IT team will support that, and they have restricted the OS upgrade for that particular servers and that those particular set of users. They are not investing in something like Citrix, because again that's an additional investment they want to make. So this type of organizations are very cost conscious, and they want to continue with what they have, so they will hold on their all the upgrades if they are not moving from 11.1 to 4. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so Bonnie, can you quickly confirm if you can see my screen?
I can see the application.
Okay. All right. So as you see, the look and feel is completely different than what you have on-premise. You have this is more like a a website or a mobile application kind of a view, and you have multiple modules. Since I'm an admin, I can see all this stuff. I have a strategic modeling. I can do the financials, and within the financial, I can break it down by revenue planning, expenses, balance sheet, and so on and so forth. I can do the projects. I can do the capital, I can do the workforce. So it's from the end user perspective, it's pretty much easy to use, rather than having those old screen wherein it is pretty much difficult for the end users to get into the application, enter the numbers, saving it. This is much more intuitive way of interacting with the application. It also has some new functionalities, like you can put some announcements. So let's say whenever we start a budgeting process, there is always a budget guidelines, there is a budget calendar, and there are always set of users who have questions for every smallest set of area. So in the world of Hyperion, or in the world where you do not have an application, you send out this on emails, okay, or you have some you probably maintain this kind of budgeting guidelines on the SharePoints or some shared folder. With the cloud application, you have feature called announcement. And announcement, you can so for a specific duration, so let's say if you are in a budgeting process, you can put an announcement, you can put a link or the entire budget guidelines in here. So whenever user gets in, they will be able to see the guidelines in the application rather than going back to the emails and all. From the application perspective, if I get into the revenue planning of the area, so as you see here, you will have Academy. So application comes, oops, sorry, clicked on here. Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah, here if you see, you have a quick dashboards. Again, this I've seen. So a few years back, when I was implementing Hyperion, uh, financial controller needed this kind of report. But what they used to do is they used to pull out the information on smart view, and then they used to convert this in the Excel on their own and then paste it in the PPT. So that was one way of doing it, or use PPT to generate this set of reports. But with this cloud applications, you'll get this kind of dashboards within the application. So if someone updates your forecast, or if the actual data comes from the ERP, all these dashboards get updated automatically. And as you see, this all these dashboards are pretty intuitive and interactive, so you can drill down from the chart itself. So you can drill down to the lowest level, and you can drill back up as well. So again, for the people like financial controller who needs to do the reporting, or let's say if there is a requirement where user comes to the IT again and again for this kind of reporting, they can that kind of workload can be reduced, and it is easily convertible into that a tables if you are not very a big fan of the charts and graphs. It supports, again, from the functionality perspective, you are not losing anything on the cloud. So whatever you have on-premise, you can do it on the cloud. So again, I'm not going into line by line comparison whether I can do this or not, but absolutely you can do much many much more things on the cloud as compared to what you can do in the on-premise world. So you'll have a functionality of doing the rolling forecast. You can see the trend lines and all the stuff. Oops, I have to. Sorry. Yeah. Uh, from the accessibility perspective, if I go back to the Hyperion world, you have task list, or or you might access the application through forms. Here you have pretty easier way of navigating. You have a horizontal as well as vertical lined up, and you can do your driver based planning. You can do the zero based budgeting. You can do your scenario modeling. So everything remains same. You are not losing the functionality. So if I open the right click, you have all the similar set of information or functionality what you have on the on-premise world. The one of the interesting feature, and from the end user perspective, what is important is for them to be able to see the hierarchy when they go and make some selection. So let's say so if I talk about Hyperion, I used to get a drop down in which it is extremely difficult to identify, how the hierarchy is listed. But here you can actually see, from the top level, you can go down to the lowest level. So I can go right from here. So let's say if I go to the market, it's a market. From here, you can go further down. Then you can go further down. If there is another member below US market, you will have that. So that way is pretty much simple. So that's one way of accessing it. You have another way of accessing wherein you can actually see the similar functionality what you have on Hyperion. Multiple years. You can do your zero-based planning. Again, this will depend how your solution is designed on the planning and budgeting side. Unfortunately, I do not have an consolidation environment for today, but next week what I'll also do is I'll also show some glimpses of the consolidation environment. So if you guys are using HFM, you will be able to see the difference between HFM and FCCS. You'll have the expense side of the area, so on and so forth. In terms of making, so let's say if your organization is huge on branding and making this background as per your images is pretty much straightforward. So you can actually go into appearances and make it just put your logo URL and let's say background URL, and you will be able to see the changes straight away. You can change the theme as per your need. So that way, this is more of driven by the business rather than driven by the IT. I mean, I remember getting a logo on the Hyperion application used to take a lot of time, but here it's pretty much straightforward. You have the approvals. You can see the rules from here. So all the business rules that you have, you can see it from here. Multiple cubes. All this cube functionality remains as is. You can have your security applied. So nothing is going, but yeah, these are the new way of accessing it. Again, HFR remains as is. So let me see if I can get you an HFR. So these are the set of financial reporting reports. Let's say see the trend. You can see the trend by product and all this stuff. So this is a quick overview of the application. I would say not even overview. This is like, to give you an understanding how this application looks like. Now, if I open this on my mobile or let's say iPad, the application screen will be automatically resized as per your device screen. So you do not need to worry about scrolling into the application when you open this from mobile or iPad. So that way, this is much more the user experience is much more smoother as compared to what you have on-premise. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll move to the application. Yeah, I mean that was it from for today's session. We have another session where we are going to talk about how this migration. So let's say if you decide to do an upgrade, or if you decide to do a cloud migration, how much time will it take? Let's say what's the cost benefit analysis available. So we are going to show you one of the cost benefit analysis that we have done for a customer, uh, based on which they decided whether to move to the cloud or remain on, or do the upgrade of their Hyperion application. So what I'll do is I'll now pause for a question and answer. You can write your all the questions on the chat box, and yeah, I'll be happy to answer those.
And I'd like to also add at this point is we have well over 1,000 Oracle Cloud customers that we showed you in the past, and we have a center of excellence. And what we've done for EPM is we've created industry-focused, out-of-the-box analytics for those customers around the EPM space. And we'll talk about that in the next session. But these are out-of-the-box functionality. So I don't know if you want to spend a moment or two talking through some of that, Herschel, as well. Herschel, are you there?
I'm sorry, there is a question, so let me take that up.
Sure.
What is the so yeah, there is a question from Brian. I'll just oops. Bonnie, can you help me reading it through? I mean, that box disappeared. I don't know. The question box.
Oh, sure.
Disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the impact to Essbase when moving to the cloud? Many of our users utilize SmartView and Excel to access Essbase. Are there any additional costs to download that data each time a user runs a query using SmartView and Excel?
No, I mean so if you are just a Essbase user and your users are using SmartView to access the data, that remains as is. Effectively, what you are doing is you are leveraging cloud Essbase functionality, uh, but otherwise extracting the data doesn't involve any cost as far as you have the licensed user. That's it. So you do not need to worry about paying each time you extract or user queries the data to the Essbase.
There's kind of like a part two to this as well. We load most of our Essbase cubes from an Oracle database. Would those databases need to move to the cloud also, or could those stay on-premise?
That could stay on-premise. So we can connect the cloud database with the on-premise database for your reporting or whatever you are doing. So there is a integration agent available on the cloud, which can actually connects directly to your databases.
Perfect. One more question from Stephen. Through the EPM community, I've heard FCCS implementations have failed. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, so Stephen, I won't say you are wrong, and probably 2 years or 3 years back, if this would have been a question, I would have agreed to you that yes, it is not ready. But Oracle has come a long way on the on refining the application. We have more than 40 customers using consolidation module, and they are using it effectively. So yes, it has failed in the past, but doesn't mean it is failing. If you go to a customer now, if you go to Oracle now, they will give you a demo in much more confident way as compared to what we used to do before. Because initially when Oracle released the consolidation module, it was released only for 100% kind of a holding structure where you do straight up consolidation, and that's where where you had a minority interest, you had complex consolidation structure. Implementation used to get fail, but not anymore now. I mean, FCCS has all the functionality that you have in HFM.
Perfect, perfect. Those are all the questions we have. If anyone wants to put a question in the question toolbar, we can. Meanwhile, Harshal, did you want to go back to Rick? Oh, wait, I have one more question. I'm sorry, I almost missed this. What is the success of this HFM to FCC migration toolkit, especially when it cannot convert rules?
Yeah, so I mean, it helps us reduce the implementation or migration time, Ravi. So since it's not a kind of a rule conversion, because the consolidation rules are predefined on consolidation, it helps us to migrate the dimensionality. So that would reduce the a couple of weeks from the implementation or a migration process. But yeah, apart from that, nothing much as such.
And just to qualify that as well, when there's less time, that means less cost. So the less effort there is, that means the less cost. So what these migration templates as well as accelerators do for our customers is help to reduce the cost of moving to cloud. So going back to my original question, Herschel, when we were talking about out-of-the-box functionality for industry, could you talk a little bit through that as to what sort of industry out-of-the-box functionalities and analytics they'll get with our solutions?
Right. So so that's a great point, Rick, you brought up. And what we have is a predefined set of solutions for specific industry. So let's say if you guys are into retail, we have a solution that talks about SKU level planning. We have which rolls up to the store level budgeting, which rolls up to a geography level. If you are a manufacturing or a distribution organization, then we have a solution which helps you to budget by warehouse, budget by route, budget, or probably helps you calculate your manufacturing capacity of a particular facility. So with the cloud, what we have done is we have specialized in around 20 industry. And let's say if you are one of the industries looking to not only move from Hyperion to cloud as is, but you want to enhance the functionality and leverage the detailed planning and budgeting or models, you can actually leverage their solutions. And we have multiple customers who have started leveraging. So we recently we were talking to a hospital system where they wanted to do the budgeting by their charge level, basically activity based budgeting. And we could be able to do that because we had this solution readily available. So that way, with cloud, you can actually leverage the predefined models for your specific industry. And this applies for planning and budgeting or costing side of the area. Consolidation, I think the process remains same across all the industry. But yeah.
Thank you, Herschel.
Yeah, there is a question from Steven. Yeah.
Yep, you got it. Okay.
With 11.2 on-premise, does Oracle offer workforce planning as part of the product? So, Steven, I'm not sure if I couldn't, explain you clearly. With 11.2, you do not have workforce planning. You do not have any predefined model. What you have is with the cloud. So with cloud, yes, you get workforce planning by default, because there is one user license under which you do not need to pay by module. So if you pay for, let's say, 10 license, all the 10 users will get access to workforce planning, capital planning, projects financial planning, and the financial planning. But 11.2 doesn't have any standard models. You have to develop everything from the scratch. Okay.
I think we've finished up the questions. So next week, as Harshal mentioned, we're going to be reviewing the ROI and showing you a case study from another customer on how to look at this from a financial and return on investment perspective. And you can see the agenda right here. Thank you, Harshal. We'll be walking through a more detailed cloud demo. We'll be talking about the migration approach. We'll talk about timelines as well and total cost of ownership. So we hope you can join us on next Tuesday, same time, same place. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes, and on that total cost of ownership, this is something that we'll be providing as a follow-up free of cost to attendees of this webinar. And we can sit down with you afterwards and understand a little bit more about your total cost of ownership and customize it for you. That will be one of the key takeaways from next week's event as well. Thank you all.
Thank you all. I hope you have a great afternoon. Thanks, Harshal. Great job.
Thank you.